If you're a dropshipper and are having a hard time getting your ads profitable, you're really going to want to go ahead and pay attention to this video. Now we all face this. We all go ahead and we create a store, we start the ads, and then what happens is, well, we end up spending money and not seeing any type of results. Now I started noticing something, is that this is a common trend. I myself have gone through it, my students have gone through it, and just the general consensus when I'm looking in other Facebook groups and communities online, other people face this as well. So I had to sit down and start formulating exactly how can we not have a 100% success rate, rather how can we try to avoid at all given costs these road bumps. And I've noticed three things very in particular, and I'll cover them once I jump into my computer, but these three things are very big determining factors to a lot of people's success. So if you're somebody right now who's running a dropshipping store, whether you're using Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever you're using, if you're currently dropshipping, running ads on Facebook, or as a matter of fact, this is gonna apply to anybody, anywhere, advertising on any platform, this will apply to you. If you don't follow these three principles, you're gonna have an extremely hard time being profitable when you're running ads. Now, what you're about to learn here as well is also the fundamentals that I use every single day when I'm creating ads to create six-figure campaigns. But what I will tell you is that these campaigns just don't sprout overnight to become six figures. Meaning, how this works is you actually have to go ahead and build them up, which is also known as scaling up your campaigns. Now, there's multiple different ways to scale. I have videos on that, and you can take a look in the description for different scaling strategies when it comes down to Facebook ads. But more than anything, I just don't want to limit this to Facebook ads because this is advertising in general and how to actually make a lot of money when you're going out there and advertising on any given platform. So without any further ado, let me hop into my computer because I'm going to lay out the three core fundamentals that you should be following if you want to go ahead and actually be profitable with your particular ads. So without any further ado, let's get into it right now. So let's dive into the good stuff. Dropshipping Profitably, the 2019 edition. So the very first thing I'm going to talk about, and do not skip this please because it's very important you understand exactly how this works. You want to know your customer. Now you've heard this tons and tons of times before, and there's a reason why you've heard this many times before. You want to actually know the customer that you're trying to go ahead and get them to purchase from you. You want to understand who they are. So how do you do that exactly? Well, pretty simply, you go and you look at where they're hanging out. So you can take a look at maybe, subreddits, perhaps blogs, maybe forums. You want to take a look at their lingo and see what they're saying and see how they speak. Because certain communities, for example, if you go and try to advertise something to the Facebook ads community, if you don't know what, a CPM means or CPC or CPUC, and that's the terminology that they use, you're gonna be like, what? Or, if you target some sort of, dog breed and they use certain terms for that specific dog breed, then you won't really know. But if you do know, you have that upper hand and you have that advantage. So just kind of understand knowing their lingo is something that will give you that competitive advantage, but it's not necessarily something you absolutely need. You can do really well without it, but it's definitely something that would be applicable if you're in a very niche down market. The second thing is you want to submerge yourself with what they're interested in and be able to relate. Now, when crafting your ads, if you can relate to the end user, you actually have a better chance of making the sale. That's why if you see some ads that are like 3-4 minutes long and you're wondering to yourself, man, how is this so profitable? If you watch the ad, it's probably because they cover and they talk to their exact targeting demographic. So it might be, and I'll give you an example at the very end of this, but I think one that I recently saw that was really good, it was around 4 minutes or so, or pushing the high 3-minute mark, was about a certain type of grill. And that grill was targeting a very specific type of person. Again, it was more so targeting males, and the male actor that they used in that video was portrayed in such a way to be able to go out there and connect with the person watching that video. Now, I'm not saying you have to have high production, nor do you really need it at all. As a matter of fact, you don't need it at all. But what I'm saying is if you can go out there and let's just say you're advertising perhaps a ring. That's why if you see mannequins in stores and if you see rings on mannequins, it's because the way it psychologically works is that you can picture the clothes on a mannequin being like clothes on you or clothes on somebody else. So that's why, department stores, they use mannequins. That's why, clothing companies, they use models in their online images to buy certain clothing That's why really smart store owners, they'll actually get the product and show the product in use from somebody. They take their own pictures because somebody can relate to that and be able to see themselves using, wearing, or actively using, I guess, the product as well. Very, very important. Now, you also want to create a customer avatar. Now, this, I will say, is very advanced. This is something I do not recommend for majority of the people watching this as of right now, because it's very complex on how to create a customer avatar. And this is something that I cover extensively inside the 100K Blueprint. And if you haven't done so yet, take a look in the description of the very first comment on this video. And I just want to remind you before I forget, you can go ahead and sign up for that waiting list to join the 100K Blueprint 3.0 when I release it for the 4th year. So again, what does it look like when I actually create a customer avatar? Here's an example. I'll go ahead and create a name for this avatar that I'm trying to target. So let's just say this is my example. John Miller from Nebraska, USA works as a phone specialist and loves to spend time with his kids on the weekend and watch sports games while drinking a Bud Light. The more in-depth you can do into your personal avatar, the better it will be for you in the long term as well. Now, why will it be useful for you in the long term to actually have something like this extremely, extremely laid out? Is because you know how to craft your ad and talk to John Miller. Now, again, it's not like you have to use the name John Miller. I'm just personifying this avatar with that name. I know I'm going to be targeting a male, and the average demographic, it seems like he's living in Nebraska, USA, around there. So I hope you understand a little bit more about knowing your customer. But this is very interesting. This is called the buying stages. Now, I learned this from a friend of mine named Frank. It's very important you understand this. Now, you see the 3%, 75%, 22%. You see now, later, and never. These are the representations of how people will engage with the offer that you're providing directly to their face. Now, again, 3% is very, very high. If somebody sees your ad, again, I just put this as theoretical numbers, but this is what you can expect. If you have a now person in a buying stage, that means they'll see your ad and they'll buy it right then, right there. They're buying it now. It's a very, very, very small sliver of the people that you're targeting, which is the impulse purchases. And unfortunately, a lot of people in the dropshipping world, they try to build their businesses around the impulsive purchases in the now category. But as you can see, the now category is actually the smallest. The runner-up would be never. But most people fall in the later category, meaning that they know about your product or service, but they're not quite ready to buy it yet. Now, this is very, very important that you understand how this works. In the later category, there's a lot that happens. As a matter of fact, I'm going to break out of these slides, and I'm going to dive deeper into this. So the now category is when somebody sees your ads perhaps maybe one time. However, they might see one ad. I'm going to use this little blue box, and I'm going to put ad in it. So I'm going to represent an ad with this little blue box. So let's just say 3% of people who see your ad will purchase immediately. However, the others won't. So what do you do in the later section? Well, it's pretty simple. You want to create different variations of your ads. You want to create different touch points that people can have, right? So this is a great way to look at it. So you can have 2 image ads and then 2 video ads. And you're going to give people different ways to interact with the same product. Because way back when, I think it was in the 1940s or 1950s, the study came out that said people need an average of 6 to 8 touch points before they purchase. However, that was many, many, many years ago. It was over 50 years ago. The internet has changed and the way consumers buy has changed as well. So we need to adapt. It doesn't require 7 to 8 touch points anymore. It requires a lot more. My guess, I would have to say 30 to 50 different touch points before somebody purchases in the later category, which is very, very important. So if you're making money on the people immediately in the 3%, that's great, that's amazing. However, you also have this percentage, the 75% that constantly need to go ahead and be shown your ad. Why? Because just like you, just like me, time gets in our way. Life gets in our way. And we might see the ad, we might save it, and then we might go home and forget about it. And then we might see it 3 days later, and we're like, oh yeah, I totally forgot. And then send it to yourself through text message, and you still forget. And then it just so happens that 2 days after that, you see it again, and you're like, okay, I gotta buy it before I forget. So just understand the later column is when a lot of people will see your ad and they say, okay, I'll buy it later. It's crazy because not a lot of people realize there are so many individuals that fall into this. However, most people only focus on the now. Most people are only focusing on the now, and it's crazy because of the fact that 22% out of your 100% pie or triangle, doesn't buy, and they will never ever buy from you. And that is fine. Again, your money is going to be made in the later column and the now column as well. So this is how it works. Let's just say somebody has viewed your ad 5 different times. What's going to happen eventually is you're going to start noticing that they're going to start purchasing in the now. So they might see your ad 5 times, they might purchase, they might see it again, and I'm moving these up because, again, this just shows purchase. And then, again, they'll see your ad and they'll purchase. So this is how that works. And they'll just remain in your later, and again, some people, they might see it a million times and they'll never buy. But at the end of the day, majority of people fall in this later category, and you need to give them different creatives, different touch points, different ways to interact with that particular product that you're promoting. That's why when I see people only create one ad set and set up no retargeting, it just doesn't really make sense to me because that's not where all the money is made. However, now that you understand that, let's dive into targeting. Who exactly could you go out there and target? Well, the best people to target is brands. That's the best. So if you're selling, let's just say, face washes, right? For acne, you can target something like Proactive and other companies like Proactive. You can target actual products. Again, Proactive is an actual product that you can go out there and target. Maybe you can even target, like Tempur-Pedic mattresses if you're trying to sell pillowcases or whatnot. Then you can go out there and target people. So if you want to, put your, let's just say, entrepreneur canvas art in front of entrepreneurs, you can target people like Gary Vaynerchuk. Magazines and communities, there's a ton of these that you can target. Then big name brand stores like Walmart or Kmart. Right, so stores like that you can also target. However, there's also one more factor that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Check this out. There's also this one little strategy and secret that nobody talks about. Unfortunately, it's so vital and crucial to your actual success, which I don't really understand why nobody talks about. It's a PSS or post-sale sequence. So if you've never heard of a post-sale sequence, this will allow you to legitimately make 200 to 300% more money than you could have previously without one. And it's very easy to use. It's actually extremely, extremely vital to any dropshipping brand. As a matter of fact, any brand right now that's trying to build traction and generate a lot of sales, this is very vital for you. If you want to learn how to build a post-sale sequence, there's a link in the description down below as well, and I highly suggest going and watching that video. There'll also be a card right over there. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and checking out this particular video. Make sure you watch the very next video in the sequence over there, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow.